woman.
Author of the forthcoming book.
What's the book called?
Divorce is an Act of Love.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to this evening's edition of The Woman. As you know, my name is Priscilla, and the show tonight is a very interesting subject matter. We're asking the question, does size matter? The ladies are not here with me tonight due to other engagements, but I do have a guest in the studio. Believe it or not, we have a man on the panel tonight that's going to, help me to understand whether or not, and help us to understand just how much it matters for all of us. So, ladies and gentlemen, introducing to you tonight my guest, Mr. Eishegun Emmanuel. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
It's good to have you. How are you?
Good.
Thank you
long
for
time coming.
I know, but it's still good to have you. Let me just mention that we were supposed to have a psychotherapist in the studio with us tonight. Unfortunately, she's caught up on the motorway and she's not able to make it, but she is going to be calling in and giving us, helping us in how to deal with this situation that we find ourselves in. Sir, now, as I said at the top of the show there, our subject matter tonight is, does size matter? I know, people at home are probably wondering, what is she talking about? Does size matter? We're asking the question, does the size of a man's manhood matter? Reason why, before I go into that, I've spoken to a lot of people in looking at this subject matter, men and women doing research. However, recently we saw a story in the Daily Mail of a young South African male. They had gotten married. Young man got married, went on his honeymoon, and his wife, unfortunately, was afraid, and because of her fear, it's an extreme reaction, but she broke a bottle over his head and injured him. And then there's also the situation that happened in the US, where again another young man, his wife made mention of the fact that he was rather small, and he was highly sensitive, stabbed her to death. This is a subject, they're both extreme cases.
Extreme, yeah.
This is a subject matter that we don't often speak about in the open, but it is a problem, isn't it? That is happening, it's very silently happening in our community like every other. People are not speaking about it on the surface, but it is affecting and impacting us within our relationships or in our marriages, any which way you want to put it. I would like to know what has some of your experiences been?
Well, I've spoken to a lot of people over the years, I'm talking the last 15, 20 years. I get to talk to a lot of people, and I get to in quote, counsel a lot of people. And I have come across cases, a lot of cases actually, where women are not satisfied and they're saying, the man's too small. I know of a few situations where, people have gotten divorced because it's been that extreme, having borne the problem for so long. The thing is, women say a man's too small, and then I turn around and I flip it and I say, well, the man can turn around and say you're too big.
Well, yes, of course. I mean, it's two sides of a coin. But then on the woman's side, you can say that for her there are many reasons that contribute to her, for instance, being that way inclined. Okay,
fair enough. So there's childbirth, and I get that. But even people who haven't had children, I've heard a few complaints from men, and I think the issue is not whether, unless you've got a really, really serious, severe problem. I think the issue is suitability. Does your hardware match the software? That's really what it boils down to.
I like your words.
Yeah, I think it's a suitability issue.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. I don't think it's because one person, because the same person who can be, in quote, too small or too big will be suitable for somebody else. And so have you found the person who is suitable for you?
Well, this is it. That is so
true. And that's probably the real question, barring an extreme situation where obviously then you've got to start looking at...
But then the other thing, which I think most of us we tend to overlook, we're not thinking about at those points, is that these are not something that a man had control of.
Precisely.
And so for me, I think that we need to be a bit more sensitive with each other when we find ourselves in that situation. But the reason why I say that is because I've heard of cases where young women nowadays are literally, saying to the man, I want to see what's in there before I even, and I just think, I can't imagine how that man would feel, whether you're on the, I know it's an ego thing for men, whether you're on a big side, you're on a small side, you're still going to be thinking, it's still going to be, such an overwhelming request. Although a man's ego will probably say, hey, yeah, sure, why not? The man his ego is out there, it's going to be feeling wonderful and happy to do it. But then, for some, I think that's just wrong.
That's quite interesting. That one, you should try let me see the goods before I purchase, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing is this. There's the issue of, okay, so you've got the in quote right size, whatever that size might be, but performance may be lacking, and you still have a problem.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
And it's very difficult, I think, especially within our community, you can't really go up to someone and say, you're too small.
Well, no, you shouldn't go up to somebody,
you shouldn't,
obviously.
But I think that within the context of a relationship, you do have to have honest conversation, albeit handled sensitively.
I agree.
Because no matter how sensitively you put it, if you say to a man, I'm not really feeling this, then he will feel away. But then if the relationship is solid to start with, then they can find a way forward. There are remedies for these things. There are things you can do. I spoke to a few women before coming on.
It's funny you should say that, because there was a survey a few years ago that we're asking the women whether or not it mattered, and the vast majority, although they used different reasonings to attain that, but the vast majority said it did.
Yes, it would. And what a lot of women have said to me is the fact that they want to be able to feel the presence. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's not that they want something extra large and damaging,
okay,
but they want to actually feel. I have a friend that I used to salsa with, and she met this guy, wonderful guy. They were getting on so well, and they went for a weekend away, and through the experience, she said she didn't feel anything, and she had to end the relationship because.
Oh wow!
So they want to feel the presence of the man, so to speak, and I think that's really what it is.
But he's standing there, so what other presence? Do you
Well, you know what I mean.
What other presence should you be seeking?
And so that's what it is. And again, it's down to suitability. Even in technological terms, they say, this hardware has got to be compatible with software. The software has got to be. And sometimes it's not that the man's too big or too small.
We say that, and it's interesting you should say that, because I actually, spoke to a couple of pastors equally about this, because that in the church world, for instance, abstinence is major. It's required. It's expected, and so on. But when I spoke to, so then how within that world are they going to be able to attain the suitability?
Well, this is it. I was once in some forum and they were discussing this particular issue, and the pastor's wife said, or the pastor says, look, when you're dating, at least hug the person and try to cop a feel that if there's anything.
Hold on that, because we have a call. We're going to find out about this hugging. I believe it's probably our psychotherapist. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Hi, Josie.
Hello, hi, Priscilla.
Welcome to the program. So sorry that you got stuck on the road.
Yeah, I do apologise for not being there, but I'm here with you via phone and in spirit. I don't know if that's the right word to say. I'm here. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay.
In your line of work, obviously you come across different people with different complaints, relationship-wise. And so in our conversation, as you know, tonight we're discussing whether or not size matters. And, first and foremost, in your line of work, would you say that size matters?
Well, me personally, I don't think it does, but a number of people might say it matters for different reasons.
Okay.
And I think those reasons what needs to be explored individually. So, for example, if if a couple or a female says that someone having a large size is too much for her, very terrifying, then obviously that would matter to her. But in my line of work, there is something as sex therapy.
Yes.
And sex therapy is about being able to explore with someone who's objective and has got some knowledge on, the biological factors of sex as well, to enable them to kind of find out, is the problem a physical problem or is it a psychological? So somebody who might say, well, yeah, size matters, is too big. Question that we need to ask is it a physical problem that she possibly has in receiving him?
Okay.
Or is it a psychological problem in her being afraid?
Okay.
And what that reminds her, that could conjure up a number of different,
So you think that if somebody has been through a negative experience, for instance, that they would struggle to accommodate?
Yes, definitely. I'm not saying everybody who's been through a negative experience would struggle,
but some
people who do struggle to have penetrative sex could possibly have experienced some previous trauma, but also there could be like there's a thing called vaginismus. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And what it is, it's when the mind and the body sort of develop a conditioned response against penetration. So basically, it's when a woman literally freezes. It's almost like if someone throws something in your face, immediately you're going to flinch, isn't it? And you're going to blink and flinch. And it's the same kind of thing that might happen if a female sees the size of someone's penis coming towards her, then her body will automatically just clench up, and then the guy might find it very, very difficult to penetrate on, and if he does, it's extremely painful for the female. Now, this can be either related, as I said, to psychological, or it could be a physical problem.
Yeah.
And if it is psychological, then we've got to explore what's going on in the relationship. And I think that's one of the key factors when we talk about does size matter. It's always about what's going on, what's not been communicated, what's going on in that relationship. Is there any unresolved issues from her past, and even how is he approaching her as well?
Okay.
Is he approaching her in a bullish way? Is he, understanding and aware of how her body works?
Okay.
And, takes time out to help, and sort of stimulate her. But there's also treatment for, people who do experience the vaginismus.
Yeah.
And part of that treatment is training the body, retraining the body. So it's
how do you train the body? This is interesting. How do you train the body? How do you train the body?
Well, they can be trained with some like pelvic exercises. There could be also, we call it vaginal trainers.
Okay.
And this is for someone who really cannot receive, who cannot really take any form of penetration at all.
Okay.
So a vaginal trainer, it comes in different sizes, and it's really just helping the female or the body to get used to having something inserted at different sizes until you go up to the size of your partner, but it's getting her to be relaxed and and getting her body to.
Now that's very interesting, but that's really interesting and great for when you're on the larger side. But what about those who can't do anything about the fact that they're a little bit smaller? What happens there? Is there any kind of assistance?
I think in any case, creativity's always got to be used. Creativity's always got to be applied. And the funny thing is that, statistically they're saying, men are different sizes all around the world. And there are some races that have different sizes. we stereotype, and we can't, say generalize too much and say, oh, all black men are a certain size, but it has been known that people from, Asia, and I mean Asia like Chinese or Korea, tend to have smaller penises on average. And, but also, there's also some data out there that also suggests that they are one of the best lovers, or they satisfy their women more, or sort of Korean women rate that their men satisfy them far more. Yeah. And
Josie, let me ask.
Creative.
I just wanted to ask, how important is it to the man? Is it more important to the man than it is to the woman?
The man is what?
Is the size more important to the man than it is to the woman, or is it on equal?
I think it could be both, because I think definitely both. I think the man, it could matter because of how it's related to how he might feel about himself, his self-esteem, his ego. So, the size and his performance is oftentimes more entwined in his, how he sees himself and his self-esteem.
Right.
I think in a sense for the woman, it's more about her feeling satisfied and feeling something. So, if a female is not satisfied with the size of her partner, again, I feel that personally, if we're talking about within a marriage relationship, it's for better, for worse, isn't it? And these are some things that people have to sit down and work through and see what we can, how can we make it more interesting,
Yeah.
There's different positions where a female can feel it more, if he is too small, so they can explore different positions within that relationship. And also one of the things I wanted to make note is that, from a Christian perspective, the marriage bed, I believe, is undefiled. And what that means is that if you're married, what you do is between you is, it is undefiled, except if you bring in a third party, or if there's any sort of homosexuality. I think those are the things that I think the Bible possibly would, condemn within sex and within marriage. But generally, I think what a couple chooses to explore and do between them is really up to them, and you've got to be creative.
I understand that, but just bear with me a second. Isha, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to ask if there were circumstances or situations you'd come across where the problem is, in quote, insurmountable, especially situations that aren't trauma based.
Now, I can't hear you very well, so can you repeat that again?
No, I was just asking if you'd ever come across situations where the problem, so to speak, was insurmountable, especially in a situation where the underlying problem is not trauma-based.
Oh, yes, it's not trauma. It doesn't have to be trauma-based at all. Are we talking about what, the female or with the male?
Well, possibly with the female. Certainly with the female, yes.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be trauma-based. As I said, it could be physical, but endometriosis can cause problems with penetration. It's not. We're talking about the size, the larger size, and trauma. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, the larger size, yes.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be trauma-based. It could be from being circumcised as well. Some cultures, women are circumcised.
I mean, could it just simply be that they're just not compatible, and that end of story?
Physically compatible?
Yeah.
Well, women come in all different sizes, don't they? And the thing, I always say to myself, if a woman can give birth to a head, to a baby, the whole head can come out, then how much more can she, but just that maybe the length would be definitely, something that would, someone's really kind of got an extended length.
Yeah, but you don't give birth every day.
Sorry?
You don't give birth every day, so you won't have to go through that sort of experience on a daily basis.
You don't give birth every day, but it tells you how flexible the vagina is.
Right, okay.
It tells you how stretched, you understand, so it can stretch. But length now, the guy has got to be careful. If his thing doesn't go, doesn't obviously, he's got some bits left over from inserting, then he's got to be very gentle and careful not to damage her womb during intercourse and things like that. So these are things that can work through. But even so, if guy is really quite long, generally, how many women is he going to find that will be able to take all of him? You see what I mean? So, it's something that I think that they can work through. I always believe that there's nothing that can't be worked through. It takes a lot of patience. It takes understanding. It takes creativity. It takes, long suffering. So, someone says, oh, I want to pack this relationship up because of this, or I'm so disappointed with size, or it's too painful, or whatever it is. They need to sit down and talk.
Josie, we could go on and on, but time is not on our side. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you, taking the time out to call in spite of your long hours on the motorway. Thank you so much. We appreciate your input. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
For having me.
Thank you. We hope to have you again sometime in the studio. Take care. I mean, there was so much that came up there, for both sides. Because I think, like I said earlier, one of the things that we don't take into consideration often is that we're born with it. We're born this way. And, there's limited control that we have. And then we become insensitive to each other in the way that we handle it, in the way that we speak of it, in the way that we deal with one another. That's the part that I'm quite concerned with.
I think what it is especially today, people are very upfront and quite forceful.
Quite.
About their dissatisfaction.
Yes.
Which doesn't help matters, So you get people who can simply just say to you, I mean, when I was talking to some people before coming on the show, they were very, very passionate about it. No, the size, and there's nothing I could have said. It's like, no matter how I put it, it was like, it's not enough, it's not big enough, it's not good enough. And I suspect that they would find it very difficult to have that conversation because they might start speaking from a point of frustration. So the person who's been in that situation, if you're married, for instance, where you can't just get up and end relationship, and you've had to put up with that for 10, 11, 15, whatever years, one day, and you haven't had to deal, and you haven't addressed it, one day it will come out because you're frustrated. So, and I don't know if we are a people who like to discuss these things and then seek help if we need to, or seek intervention if we need to.
There's always the fear of how other people see us. So there's always are we going to be judged? Are we going to be put down? Are we going to be, people, you find that a lot of people, first and foremost, kill themselves with all those thoughts. Really what they ought to do is seek help, which will, make life that much easier. But then we spend time in condemnation first. Now,
but for me, except it's trauma-based, it boils down to the fundamental question: are you physically suitable for one another? Because sometimes when we say it's a problem, then you're saying the guy being the size is a problem, but it may not be a problem. It's just that it's not suitable for you.
So we need more understanding.
Absolutely.
We're going to go on a break. When we come back, the conversation continues. We will hear, what people out there are saying, what their views are and their opinions. But for now, we're going on a short break. The number is 0208-808-0693. Let's also hear from you. Don't go away.
Ladies, I bring you great news. You are invited to the Lady to Lady Global Conference 2017 with the theme Arise, featuring a worship concert in support of inner city children. On Saturday, the 11th of March 2017 at 10:30 a.m. at the Excel Center in Docklands, London. It is time to arise from that situation.
You cannot give birth, you cannot have a child. Yes, I remember the last consultant I went to, after seeing her for about 2 years, she looked at me. I can never forget that. It was an Iranian woman. She said, Mrs. Akure, I am discharging you. Unfortunately, I cannot perform miracles. That's what she said to me. But we have a miracle worker! We have a miracle worker! And
depression, arise from loneliness, and arise from every circumstance, as it is time to move forward. Arise, arise, arise. It is your time to arise and shine. Register at www.ladytoladyconference.org and to showcase your business to thousands of ladies and to feature in the newsletter, contact us on any of the numbers showing on the screen. Once again, for more information and to register, visit www.ladytoladyconference.org. See you there.
Arise, arise, arise. The glory of God has risen upon you. See you there. Arise and shine.
Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back. We're still discussing, if you've just joined us, we were, examining the question, does size matter? We've just been speaking with our psychoanalyst, our psychotherapist, who was, wow, she gave us so much information on the subject, and I hope that information will help somebody out there. Before we came into, we asked some people out there in the street. We went out and spoke to people and asked them what they thought about it, and so we would like to share that with you. What people out there are thinking about it, because this is a subject that it's a serious subject. It's not a trivial matter, and it is affecting us in so many different ways, and we often make light of it and don't take it as serious as what it is, because when it becomes a divorce, it is serious. When it affects people to the point where somebody's breaking a bottle over a man's head, it's extremely serious. When it's affecting people to the point where somebody's putting a knife in another person, it is, you can't really quantify the seriousness there. But all too often, we speak of it as though it's fun. We tend to, you mention it and people will instantly laugh. Yes, no, or whatever, but it's not funny. And so many people are affected, but very few actually get help. And it can be resolved through just maybe going to see somebody and speaking to somebody. I believe we have a caller. Let's hear what our caller has to say. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello?
Hi, welcome to the program, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from London. My name is Theophilus.
Hi, Theophilus. What's your thoughts on the subject?
The question is that they are saying, what is the question on the screen? Does size matter?
Yes.
Yeah, but the issue is for people who are new to the program, what size are they talking about?
Oh.
yeah. Because the discussion is very interesting, but I can't pick what they are talking about.
My apologies, sir. We're asking the question, does the size of a man's manhood matter?
Oh. In all the world, if we don't have any program to talk about, Jesus Christ.
Well, it's something that, you see, that's the thing. We often hide away from these things, and we want to sweep it under the carpet. Hello? Oh, it's gone. I think this is the general thing, isn't it, that we see. People are often, it's like, oh God, how can we discuss that publicly? But the consequence of it is, it's grave.
Well, the truth of the matter is, and like I said, I've been familiar with this problem for quite a few years, and especially in Christian circles, especially with married folk, and people can't really talk about it, and people aren't seeking help. People don't know that they should, and of course there's the stigma. You're an African man, and how do you go and tell your GP or whoever that things aren't really as my wife thinks they should be. That's a real problem. And when we had the break, I was asking about whether people, whether penal extension is a viable option. And I'm thinking how many African people in particular would
It
go...
is. As I was researching, and there is a clinic that are providing, and the uptake for this in recent times apparently has just, gone up so high.
Really?
Yes.
Are black people going there?
Well, I didn't I didn't check to see the demographics of those that were going there, but I am aware that more people are subscribing to it. We have another caller. Hello, good evening. Hello. Hello? Oh, well, I don't know what's happened there.
But I still need to emphasize the point that the fact that I'm not your...
Oh, hi.
Hello?
Yes, hi. Can you hear me? Good evening.
No, I think it's cut off.
Oh, what a pity.
I think the fact that what you have is, what a man has or one man has is not satisfactory for a woman doesn't mean that there's a problem.
No.
That it just means that it probably just means you're not compatible.
I believe so.
Because
I think
we can begin to mess around with people emotionally and psychologically when they begin to think, oh, I've got a problem, when actually they don't have a problem. And vice versa, oh, the woman's too big, but no, I've got a problem, but she doesn't have a problem.
We often trivialize it. Yeah, we look at it from that angle instead of looking at it for what it is, how serious it is, or dealing with it with sensitivity.
Well, it is quite serious when relationships are ending, and then people are developing emotional or psychological problems as a result. So it is quite serious. It's not just about the size of the manhood. That's not really there are deeper issues attached to that, and these things give rise to other problems, problems with self-esteem. If you're in a relationship and that sort of you have that kind of problem, then it affects how you relate with your spouse. It affects so many other things.
We have a Jenny on the line. Let's hear from Jenny. Hi, Jenny. Good evening. Hello, do we have Jenny on the line? I don't know what's going on with our phone lines tonight. It would have been great to hear Jenny's thoughts on the issue. Yeah.
So those problems are very far-reaching, and you can't mess around with those problems, but you can't run away from them. No. We've got to have this discussion, and we've got to find a way forward. Absolutely, because as I said, there are so many people that are being affected, and they don't know where to go. But let's hear what people are saying on the street now. Let's see the clip. As in the size of a man's manhood, if it matters in a relationship.
I really wouldn't know. You know why? Why? Because that's private.
Yeah, it's true. I think it matters.
I don't think it matters. As long as there's love there in the relationship.
I really think it does, because for satisfaction's sake, some people think, the bigger the better. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I don't know, man. You should ask ladies.
What's your opinion?
No, it doesn't really, because if you study the female anatomy, it tells you where all the sensitive nerves are, and it doesn't really matter. It's up here, I think, it's up here.
Relationship, no, size does not matter. As long as you're healthy, you're happy, that's all that matters.
Okay, so you're not concerned if you find that if you went out to wear, for instance, and you meet on your wedding day and he has smaller things than you anticipated.
Oh, that's where you're going with that, love.
So tell us why you think it matters.
For the male, obviously, for his ego. For the woman, I suppose, different type of pleasure. That's basically it, really.
So what happens in a situation where, some feel that it doesn't matter? What kind of advice would you like to give them in how they should handle one another?
It all depends on the individual, I suppose, and the partner. If it's not an issue with them, yeah, it's fine. But I think it does matter, yeah.
For me, it doesn't matter. if the love is there and understanding is there, I don't think that structure or anything is matters. That I love the person, it's okay for me.
It depends on the person, definitely. Because some people have got very big and they can't use them, and some people have got very small but they're very good. It depends on the two people, actually.
Hey, what kind of question is that? Is it seriously serious? To be honest, okay, this thing is in somebody's trouser, right? Yeah. Me as a woman, right, looking at somebody's trouser and saying, some random man's trouser and thinking, imagining what the size is, I think it's crazy. I think, honestly, size doesn't matter. Size really doesn't matter. But it might be big, but it's not functional. So how can you look at somebody's size and just say, okay, that's not good and that's bad? And also the two need to blend, isn't it? The woman and the man together, they need to blend. What if it looks good but it really doesn't blend in there? I don't know if I'm making sense.
I'm not sure, really. That's the question, because it depends on who's using it and for what purpose they are using it. It does. Everything has a baseline. So there is what you consider as an average size. I don't think average size matters. But anything on the extremes of the normal distribution curve would matter.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter.
Why'd you say that?
I don't think it should have to matter. Why should it? Well, I don't know. I just feel that if that's how some people feel, then maybe they shouldn't be in that relationship if that's how they feel. You know, not everyone can satisfy each other at the end of the day, so.
Oh, God. Oh, that is important. No, I think it's, if you have a loving relationship, my experience has told me that it doesn't matter too much because it eventually will fit very nice in there. But of course, there are some that's just not compatible. I think maybe you should try experimenting a little bit if you love each other.
You want an honest opinion, yeah?
I require it to be sincere and as honest as you can possibly be. Does it matter?
Yeah. It does matter, not in the bigger the better, because obviously there's an upper limit there that could be problematic. So more it's about exactly the same as it is with intellectual or spiritual connection. It's to do with the fit of the two people.
I don't think so. It's like, no, maybe not. It depends on the what size are we talking about, but mainly not. Yeah.
No, it should be matter. You should satisfy with what you have and don't look at the next person's property. So whatever you have, whatever the man have, you should be happy with it. Size doesn't matter.
Well, you know, it's good to know the general opinion out there is that it doesn't matter. And, you know, most people spoke about the sensitivity, the fit, like you were saying. And, you know, so the consideration is there, which is good.
Yeah, but people say it doesn't matter because it's not they're not dealing with the problem.
I suppose, isn't it? It's very easy to say, you know, as long as it's your personal
problem, then it doesn't matter because you're satisfied with what you've got. But there are times when it does matter, and again, unless you're dealing with an extreme situation where you know you've got a developed man with an underdeveloped penis, which is a completely different thing altogether, then it's a matter of fit.
I mean, you know, earlier on before we went on the break, we had to take the call, I think. We were discussing, I was saying to you that I had spoken to some pastors and, you know, and one of them said to me was, yes, this is a problem that we're now finding. We bring people together, we conduct the marriage, everything is great, and we think they're fine. Even though we've taken them through counseling, we think everything is okay. And then for some, we get calls later that this is what they are dealing with, this is what they are fighting with. And of course, you know, as I said earlier, within the church, it's, hey, you can't defile that bed. And what do they do at this point?
maybe dropping the trousers might be a good idea to see what you're talking about.
Yeah, but that's so insensitive.
No,
Though, isn't it?
look, the thing is this: when you go for counselling in the church setting, it's going to how to be a good wife, how to pray, how to be a good husband, provide, and all of that, and they're not really going to deal with real
Hold that thought, because we have a Michael on the line. Let's hear what this Michael have to say, and then we'll come back to that. Hello, Michael.
Yeah.
Good evening. Welcome. What part of town are you calling from?
I'm calling from London, from the southeast.
Excellent. What's your thoughts?
My thought about this topic is, it's like some people are just shying away from the truth. It's a reality. It's that it depends on who you are in a relationship with. If a lady or a woman who was dating a guy with a large or a longer manhood, and now is getting married to somebody of which his manhood is a bit smaller, then that there's going to be a kind of, not feeling good about it from the side of the woman, because I've experienced it, and the person the lady involved was not happy, and it's like there was a kind of reservation, and somebody was telling me, it's like you have to work on yourself because you can go and get this Viagra, get this and that, so it matters really, it matters, but it's not that maybe if it's an average or a bit smaller, but when it's very small, man, no lady there will tell you it is okay, except it's just maybe one night stand. But if it's a relationship that is going to take a long time, then the lady will borrow leg and disappear.
Oh wow, that's an extreme. Can it not be worked out? Because
I'm talking from experience.
Okay, as our expert did say that there are other things that can be done. In that situation, isn't there something that can be done?
Okay, excuse me, I want to ask a question, because I've never attempted to use things like those things that enhance manhood, and I don't want to use it because I don't know what the medical implications will be.
Right.
But are there areas one can seek counsel on how to improve on it?
Yes, there are. As our expert mentioned, you can get counseling on that. I think you may have to go online and look for counselors that will be able to give you that service to be able to help you. I know that, as I mentioned earlier, that there is a clinic. I know the BBC also did a similar program on this, and they were examining the options that were out there. There was a clinic in Harley Street that they're providing this service at the moment, and there's a huge uptake by men. But then, I wouldn't know what the consequences will be thereafter. Michael, thank you so much for your honesty and for sharing.
Talk to your GP. He will refer you. Ask him to refer you.
That's true.
To a therapist. He'll do that. Your GP will do that for you.
That's very true. Thank you very much for that. As he said, we don't take it seriously enough, and so we just sort of think it's nothing. We have Uche on the line. Hi, Uche. Good evening, Uche. Uche, can you hear me? Is Uche still on the line?
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Welcome. Where are you calling from, please?
Yes, I'm calling from London.
Okay, sir. What are your thoughts on our conversation tonight?
Yeah, I'm hearing.
Okay, speak to me through the phone, not
I'm
the TV.
calling from London.
Okay, please turn off the volume of your TV and just speak to me.
Yeah, my contribution is I'm listening to what you are discussing. My wife is beside me. My wife is only laughing.
Why?
So my wife is beside me. She's only laughing.
Okay.
I'm an example of this thing that he has said now. One thing is that it depends. I'm not an example because because me, if I stand in front of you, you run away. When I'm happy, it depends when I'm happy. When I see money full in my pocket, or when I see something that I will do. And the one thing in a man is, when you have problem, everything work through brain. All these things we are talking is brain. When your brain is not settled, When your brain is not thinking of this and that or this and that, it cannot work. Now, at times you'll be working, you start the job, then under 2 minutes, the thing will go down inside where you are working. Because why? Your mind is not there. Your mind is there. Your mind is there. For example, maybe you haven't paid your landlord, or you don't have job, or you don't have this, which means your brain is not settled. Even the person that call you now and say you need medication, no, you don't need anything. Settle your brain. Whatever you are thinking, when you are in that, leave it. Because this is a relationship.
Yeah.
That will break many relationships.
Yes, it does.
It depends on your brain, because everything comes through your brain. Because when your brain accepts it, you see everything in your body get up. It doesn't matter whether big or small. If there's a small one that working than bigger. Like, for example, when I was working in a hotel in this country, I'm a man. There's a man who I saw, I run away, I disappear. I said, this is no human being. I'm telling you the truth. Not knowing that thing is not working, it's already dead. It's just like that. But there's a small one you see, because everything is working, the brain is there. When it's working, the woman will feel it. Depend on the brain. Because this country, one, the weather, this country is not good for a man. Two, too much sugar, chocolate, all these things is not good for a man. And the stress in here, everything will work together. It stops you from doing that. But when you are down, when you are okay, everything is working. You see, even it happened to, let me tell you the truth, it happened to me for 4 months.
Wow.
Only that, because this is my 27 years in marriage. Only that my wife knows me very well. If not, she would leave me. She knows that it's the problem that I'm facing. Because I don't care for anybody. I don't even talk to her. When she's playing with me, before, if I just see my wife, everything get up. Even if I'm going on the way, say, woman, I like, everything get up. But that was all. My wife started asking me, what happened? What happened? She noticed that because there was a problem then. I lose my job. My wife, my mother down Nigeria, is a stroke, all everything. So the thing, my brain is nothing is, my brain is working, but my mind wasn't there.
Sir Uche,
At times, she will be playing with me, everything get up. When I want to go in, everything go down. So, because I have a shop in
I understand. Sir Uche, thank you so much for your candid opinion there, of sharing. I really appreciate that. It's just that time is not on our side. Our time is literally up. Wow.
So he's talking about performance there, and it's possible to be the right size, and obviously there might be performance issues, and that's also a problem.
Yeah.
But going back to what we're talking about the church, and it is a real issue that pastors, yes, are rightly confronting, but these are issues I've been aware of for the last 15, 20 years, and there's been no outlet for people to address these problems. How do you go about preventing it? It's a difficult one. I really don't have the answer.
You can't really prevent it, though, can you?
Well,
because this is how people come.
Well, yeah.
I mean, for women, there are pelvic exercises that we can do that's supposed to help our elasticity, because obviously we're built because of childbearing and all of that.
But there are honest conversations you can have.
Yeah.
If you're below average in size, it's something you want to actually be saying to this person you're talking to before you get to the altar.
Yeah.
It's a conversation that you probably need to have. No, seriously.
Wow. What can I say? Eyishego Emmanuel, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
It's been a pleasure having you.
Pleasure.
We can't wait to read your book. He's a writer. Hopefully very soon his book will be out there. And for all of you that called in and that have tuned in tonight, as I said, it is not something we can do anything about. Let's be more respectful to each other, and let's treat each other with sensitivity. Thank you for tuning in, and have a good night. See you next week.
You are invited to the Lady to Lady Global Conference 2017 with the theme Arise, featuring a worship concert in support of inner city children on Saturday, the 11th of March 2017 at 10:30 a.m. at the Excel Center in Docklands, London. It is time to arise from that situation.
Yes, I remember the last consultant I went.
www.ladytoladyconference.org. See you there.
The glory of God has risen.
You own your own business. Do you want to expand your network and increase